Department does everything. Thank you for calling Kentucky City Hall.
Legal Department, Jasmine speaking.
Hi, Jasmine. Me again. Have you seen Frank?
One moment, please.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, Frank?
Yes, this is Frank.
Okay, this is Lynn Farinelli.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I really want that information, Frank.
Oh, I know you do.
I think that, let's face it. It was an illegal search and seizure. He grabbed the phone out of our hands. He made copies of it. You've sent those pictures out. I have every right to know who has copies of this. This is abusive. This is unbelievable that there are so many problems with this. Do you not see the legal problems with this, Frank? I mean, come on. Why can't I get this information? What?
I didn't say you couldn't get it. I just said that I'm not going to be the one compiling it.
Well, you asked...
It's not an APRA request. You understand it's not an APRA request. You said that in the request that you sent me back in late November.
Okay.
It's not an APRA request. It's a request for information.
I told you that you can take it as an APRA. There should be some kind of...
You said I could, and I chose not to take it as an APRA. I'm not going to play games, Mrs. Farrell.
Obviously you are.
Then I will respond in the ordinary course, as I always do.
Frank,
You don't give me a choice. This isn't, multiple choice where I can or I can't. In this particular instance, you told me very clearly in that email that it was a request for information. It was not an APRA.
I said you can take it as an APRA, but you know what? Okay, so you can jerk me around for another 10 days, Frank. But the bottom line is there has to be documentation of where these text messages were sent. Stacey Veronica.
And then you did follow up last week, if I recall, either Wednesday or Thursday, in response to my email to you, making it clear that now you are seeking documents, and I will treat that as an APRA. I will open a file, and I will act accordingly, as I always do, on every APRA that you send to the city.
So from November 28th
to the police department.
Frank,
Let me know
Frank,
if there are any records which exist,
Frank.
which would satisfy your request, and then once I know that, then we will make a determination as to whether those documents are documents that we can and should send to you.
It was an illegal search and seizure of a phone.
Mrs. Farinelli, but I don't know that I agree with that. That is a legal position that you are taking. I'm not going to debate the merits of a legal position with you.
You're kidding, right? You're a lawyer. You're a lawyer. They can walk into a house.
Asserting that the seizure of the phone was illegal.
It was.
That the search of the phone was illegal.
It was.
And I'm suggesting to you that the city doesn't necessarily agree with your position.
He grabbed it out of our hands. You can go back to one of our first conversations.
I don't know anything about that, Mrs. Farinelli. That's what you say, but I don't know if that's true.
You don't know if that's true. Well, where's the search warrant?
True.
Where's the search warrant? You're a lawyer. Where's the search warrant? The state police told me you have to have one. You have to have one.
To debate with you.
Yeah, because you're going to close your eyes to it, but
I'm not going to do that.
Frank, you know...
I don't mean to be sarcastic. Hopefully I'm not coming across that way. I am just being very matter-of-fact with you. I will not debate a legal issue with you. You assert that there was a Fourth Amendment issue. The city does not agree with that assertion.
You're serious, right? You're seriously telling me that you don't believe that an illegal search and seizure of a phone and the pictures that were taken of that phone that you distributed, and this isn't a Fourth Amendment issue? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Have you been looking...
Again, I don't want to be a broken record. I'm not going to debate the legal issue with you on the telephone.
Okay, so you know that this illegal activity is happening, and maybe we should call the Bar Association. Maybe we should call the Bar Association. Maybe we should.
I don't necessarily agree with you.
Where's the search warrant? Where's the search warrant, Frank? Where's the search warrant? That phone is in my name. I purchased it. In fact, I'm on it right now. So he can grab it out of our hands and then make copies, and all you people can distribute. Stacey Veroni has them. The trust has copies of it. Are you kidding me? You mean to tell me that you think that this is A-okay, huh, Frank? You know what? Maybe the advisor, maybe the Bar Association needs to know about how Frank Milos knows that there was an illegal search and seizure of a phone, and he's going to stand behind the police department and not have Perez taken into custody. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
And Mrs. Farinelli, again, I'm not going to debate the legal merits with you. If you believe that there was a Fourth Amendment violation of your rights in some fashion, then you have remedies that you can pursue.
I want to know who has copies of those. I've been asking since November 28th. You obviously, if you told me in an email that you sent that over to Chief King to get his, my request, you were obviously making a request of him to compile that list.
Yeah, I sent the email that you sent to me over to him.
Uh-huh.
Basically letting him know that you had sent me the email, and as I said in my email to you last week, I will leave it to the chief to decide when and how he responds to you.
Why would it be such a big deal if it's not a Fourth Amendment violation, Frank?
No one is saying it's a big deal, but you obviously want everyone to drop everything for you immediately.
Oh, I'm sorry, since the 28th, Frank, since the 28th?
If we're going to talk, if we're going to have a conversation, then I'm just going to ask that respectfully you allow me to finish my answer. If you're not interested in what I have to say or on what my answer is, that's fine. But I don't talk over you. I would ask that you just listen to my response, that's all.
Okay, you respond and then I'll respond, and then you can respond and I'll respond. Go ahead.
Mrs. Farinelli, look, I'm not going to do this. I have things that I need to work on.
Yeah, because
cases that I need to prepare for.
Well, you just got there at 11:30.
I understand full well.
You just got there at 11:30. I mean,
I did forward your email to Chief King.
Uh-huh.
If anyone has the information that you're seeking, it would be him on behalf of the police department. I don't have the answer to the question that you raised on November 28th.
Okay, so since then,
I can't respond to you and give you information that I don't have. And as I indicated, I do have a lot of other things that I am working on here. I'm not going to compile information that others have when there's no statutory obligation for me to do so. Now, when you did follow up with your email last week, I am taking that as an APRA. So we will be opening an APRA file on that. And we will be following through the normal procedure that we do on any APRA matter that any person, including yourself, sends to me.
So all the emails from November 28th to last week's email didn't make you feel like this was important information that I needed to obtain?
Mrs. Farinelli, I'm sure it's important information, but emailing me every day asking what the status is on a matter doesn't make me go any faster. I have other cases in addition to yours that I deal with on a daily basis, and I do the best that I can to try to respond to everything that I have to respond to, but I have to do it within the time frame that I think is appropriate.
Okay, so you've known
There's
since...
a lot that goes on in this office, as I'm sure you imagine or could imagine.
Well, I don't know. I didn't see anything going on last... I didn't...
The defense of litigation cases.
Yeah.
We prosecute criminal matters.
Yeah, I didn't see anything going on last Friday.
We provide legal opinions.
Last Friday there was
labor issues,
nobody in the office.
Arbitrations,
And then
contract negotiations,
3 hours.
traffic court, housing court. There's a lot that we do here.
Right.
And we have limited staff and limited time.
Yeah, limited.
So
You just got there at 11:30, Frank.
We can to respond to everyone, but I have other matters that came to my attention for me to have to work on well prior to your request in late November.
So there's
And
other
like I said,
other
I
things
did
besides November.
Immediately forward that over to the chief. And now we have an APRA that you've sent to me, more or less in the same area, asking the same thing, but this time specifically asking for documentation or records. And we will respond in the ordinary course. And you know we will. We always do.
But
You may not agree with the answers that we give sometimes, but you know full well there has never been an APRA request that you've made that we haven't responded to. We have an obligation to respond, and we will.
Frank, this has been since November 28th. You've known,
No,
you know.
there has not been an APRA request pending since November 28th. I respectfully disagree with you.
Okay, so you knew from November 28th, many times after that I was looking for this information.
Oh, yes, I did. You know I did. And you emailed me every day on it. There was no need to do that, but you felt it was.
Well, because I want the information.
Well, I understand that, but there's a lot of people that I am dealing with on a day-to-day basis that want information. They want responses. You're not the only person who seeks information or seeks to have things accomplished through this office.
Okay, so to January 3rd, I still don't have this information, but
No,
that.
you don't have it. You know you don't have it, and I admit you don't have it, and I thought I fairly articulately gave you a response
and
last
Chief
Wednesday or Thursday.
and Chief King knew since November 28th that I wanted this information because you forwarded that to him.
Well, I understand
You
that.
forwarded
I
that to
you wanted
him.
it since November 28th. In 30 days, I'm sure, from your perspective, because you want this information, is an incredibly long period of time. From my perspective, it's not.
No, of course not, because it's not your kids' shit out there for the world to see that you released as public record. It's not your kids' shit out there that you have released as public record from an illegal search of a phone. See, that's where you don't understand.
I'm not going to debate legal matters with you on the telephone.
No, of course not. Of course not. But you know something, Frank. You know something, Frank? From the last conversation that we had, and I know that, you go back and forth, you need to go back and you need to read those Attorney General office things. Because right there, it clearly states that you violated our privacy by releasing that police report. And you know something? My mother never got a call from the trust. My mother never got a call from the trust for that. And I don't know what kind of games are being played down there, but I've had it between this November 28th thing.
I'm not going to get into the merits of claims.
You're right, because supposedly there's claims and supposedly there's claims. No, it's against you, Frank. It's against you.
You or your mother. That's not something that I do.
Right, because it was against you. It was against you.
From the city.
And it was.
The claim has been referred to Attorney Mark DeSisto.
Yeah, and he did nothing with it. I mean, obviously he's done nothing with it. Because I don't know what's going on down there, Frank, but I guess you can get away.
I'm not going to discuss the merits of it.
I guess you can get away with violating people's privacy, Fourth Amendment, all this other crap, and you can know that the city of Pawtucket, the police department, is violating people's rights, and you're okay with that, Frank. And you know something? That's a problem. That's a problem.
See, but those are your words. Those are not my words. And those are your assertions and your conclusions that I don't necessarily agree with.
Really? Because you might want to look up Riley versus California, and that's only in an arrest. You can't just go in and take someone's phone, take pictures of it, and distribute those pictures. I'm sorry. That's against the Fourth Amendment. And
Mrs. Farinelli, you can read cases, but the bottom line is read as many cases as you need to.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't necessarily agree with your position based on the facts as I understand them. And again, I'm not going to
produce
debate with you.
The search warrant. There has to be a search warrant. State police said there has to be a search warrant. Where is that? There's no search warrant. There was no consent. There was no search warrant. He grabbed that phone out of our hands. So, the way you understand it and the way I understand it, you know what? You're sitting in an office. You have no idea what happened that day. You have no idea.
Correct. That's why I will not debate with you, because I was not there. You have a position. The city has a position. That happens every day in my working for the city as an attorney. There are two sides.
Violating rights is happening way too much in this
Sometimes it
city.
turns into litigation. Sometimes it does not.
Oh, it will. Oh, it will.
Well,
It will.
no, then that's the recourse. Again, I'm not going to spend time debating with you the legal merits of matters in which you have already asserted a claim.
Asserted a claim? What are you talking about?
Mrs. Farnley, what is it you want from me today? Other than the obvious, you want the information that you've been seeking since November 28th. What else would you like to discuss with me today?
I have a lot to discuss, but I'd really like this information. I'd really like this information.
I understand that. And maybe you'll get a faster response now that it is in the form of an APRA.
Uh-huh.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, when you responded to me last, I want to say it was Thursday, I could be wrong, it could have been Wednesday, we will be taking that email, we will be opening an APRA file, and we will be acting accordingly like we always do on your APRA cases.
Now, Frank, I do have a question for you, Frank. When you, as the legal department, who does the city, you know, you give them, you know, all your wisdom. When the police violate laws and things like that, what happens? Do you let them know that they probably should pursue an arrest?
I'm sorry, I don't follow what you're asking me.
Okay, so if you see that, you know, there are illegal things happening in the police department and someone comes forward and has a complaint and the chief is ignoring that complaint, do you weigh in on that at all?
Mrs. Farnelli, my involvement is always something that can occur if I am asked to be involved in a matter, if I'm asked to provide legal representation or give legal advice on an issue. Obviously, that's what my office is here to do. We represent the city at large, and we represent the city through the mayor, the council, division heads, department heads, which includes the police department. To the extent that they need legal advice from us, we provide it. That's our mandate under the charter.
And so basically, if a police officer lies on official documents to a state official and you are aware of that, where do you stand on that, Frank? What happens with that? What happens with that when you are aware of something like that? Are you?
I'm not sure what you're driving at.
If you're aware of something, are you supposed to come forward and do something about it, or do you just ignore it, Chief King does?
No, Mrs. Farnelli, people make allegations every day, not just you. People make allegations, and I respond as I need to, but that's not information that I'll discuss with you. That's all confidential.
Right.
Who I speak to, and what we discuss, and what the merits of those discussions are, in the face of an allegation, whether it's yours or others, I won't discuss with you or anyone.
So you don't really protect...
Absolutely 100% confidential.
You have nothing to do with protecting the citizens of the city. You're just there to protect the city from being sued. Is that correct?
Again, your words, I don't know that I necessarily agree with how you characterize it, but clearly, as an attorney for the city, my job is to defend the city, which I do on a daily basis.
Okay. So basically, you don't work for the people, you work for Don Grebian and the administration, right?
I don't... See, again, that's how you characterize it.
Well, I'm just curious.
The attorney for the city of Pawtucket is to represent the municipal corporation, regardless of who is at the helm, regardless of who the mayor is, regardless of who the council is, regardless of who the directors and the division heads are. My job is to represent the municipal corporation, which is what we do, in this office on a day-to-day basis.
And even if you know someone's breaking the law, you don't
Again,
you don't get involved in that.
your characterization, I don't know that I necessarily agree with your characterization. What I'm telling you is what I do, the advice that I give, how I give it, and in what context is not something I'm going to debate with you on the telephone.
Mm-hmm.
I know what my obligations are, and I know how to fulfill them.
Okay. All right. So we're looking at 10 days from the date that you actually think that I sent it as an APRA.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, the email. We haven't opened up a file yet. We'll be doing that today. I believe you sent it to me on Thursday. And so, obviously, as you well know, it will be 10 business days, not including the date of receipt. And we will certainly, as we always do, process it in the ordinary course and get you a response one way or the other, unless, of course, we need to claim an extension, which in this case, I don't believe we're going to need to, based on what I can see. But we'll get an answer to you as soon as we can.
Yeah. I'd like it before the government summit.
I know you do.
Yeah, but I mean, I've only been asking since November 28th.
That I can't keep.
Yeah, I mean, you know what, Frank? Since November 28th, if you really cared about getting this information to me, you would have just taken it the way that I wrote it. You can take it as an APRA or for information, but
I don't agree with that. See, again, those are your assertions and your allegations, and you want to spin it the way that you want to spin it, which is unfortunate. That's not the case at all.
But you know what? If you didn't really think that it was an APRA, you wouldn't have forwarded that to Chief King. You would have just been like, it's not an APRA.
You made a request of me for information that I do not have. That is the reason, logically, commonsensically, I would like to think, I referred it to the person who I believed more likely than not had the information.
Right, so you took it as an APRA.
That I had.
So you took it as an APRA. I mean, come on.
No, I did not take it as an APRA.
Well, if I sent an APRA...
I made it very clear to you when I wrote to you last week, I did not take it as an APRA.
Okay, but if I
what
sent...
I'm taking as an APRA is the newest request that you sent to me, where you clearly requested documents. And we've already talked about this at the beginning of our conversation.
Right, but Frank, if I sent it as an APRA, you would have done the same steps. You would have taken that email and you would have forwarded it to Chief King.
When it's an APRA, I think you took my email wrongly when I wrote to you last week. I was just trying to
let me know that Frank,
if I take something as an APRA, and when I deal with you on these matters, you usually make it crystal clear regarding whether it's an APRA request or not. And right from the heading, you make it very clear, APRA request. In this case, it was a request for information. And you know from responses that I've given to you numerous times in the past, the APRA was not designed or created to have public officials or public bodies respond to interrogatories or to compile information, but rather to compile, review, disseminate records, documents, items. So, no, and again, I did not take your November 28th matter as an APRA. If I had, I would have immediately opened up the file, and we would have calendared it the 10 business days, and we would have provided a response in the ordinary course. In this instance now, last Wednesday or Thursday, you did send me an email specifically requesting documentation. We will be treating that as an APRA. There's a difference. And I think you know the difference.
Yeah, the difference is you do what you want. That's the difference.
No, that's not true.
Basically,
I do
Frank,
not agree with that, and I think you know me better than that after 2.5 years.
Frank, you really, because the thing is, you would have done the same steps. You would have sent that to Chief King, and actually, your office has released those as well. So you might want to double check your office. But you know,
we haven't released them to anyone.
Of course you have. Of course you have.
No third parties.
Really? Really? He even released them to me, Frank.
No third parties.
What do you mean, no third party? You
No
released
other
it.
parties.
You released it as a public record, Frank. You released it as a public record. Did your heart just
Mrs.
drop?
Farinelli, you
Did your
asked
heart
for-
just drop? Yeah, you did.
You asked the question. I gave you the answer.
You released it as a public record under APRA, Frank.
My answers are pretty clear.
Frank, you released it under APRA as a public record. Did your heart just drop? Because that's exactly the problem here. You released them to me as an APRA.
I'm listening.
Well, so there you go. You made those public record. See what happened, Frank? See what happened, Frank? With this illegal search and seizure of a phone? You made those public record.
Again, I'm not going to debate with you over whether there was an illegal search or seizure of that phone or not. Again, that's your position.
What do you mean?
I understand it clearly.
Oh, you bet. The city is really going to know it. The state police said you have to have a search warrant to even open that phone. Never mind take pictures and then send them out. Do you see the problem here, Frank?
I hear what you're saying, Mrs. Farinelli. I understand what you're saying.
You understand.
And I am not, again, going to debate the merits of Fourth Amendment allegations with you on the telephone.
Well, I'm going to call. I'll call Steve Brown. See what he thinks about it.
Mrs. Farinelli, you do what you feel is appropriate.
But see, this is the problem, Frank.
I'm not going to debate.
See, this is the problem,
with you on
Frank.
the telephone.
See, this is the problem, Frank. You know what? I can quietly go away, or you people can continue to play these games. And the more you play the games, the more I get abused here, the more heart attacks I have.
With you again, I don't view this as a game. You use that word freely. You use it routinely. I do not view any of this as a game. I never have.
Ignoring since November 28th. Are you serious, Frank?
I am 100%
Instead of sending me back,
I do not treat this as a game, and from my perspective, it is absolutely not a game.
Instead of sending me back,
make it so.
you know what, Frank? After 2.5 years, we have this, ongoing relationship, obviously. But instead of taking that email and saying and writing back after getting numerous emails from me, instead of writing back, hey, Mrs. Farinelli, you know what? Here's a little courtesy. Write this as an APRA and I'll send it to you. No, instead you ignore. Instead of sending me back something that says, I don't consider this an APRA. And I would have sent you right back something that says APRA right on the top. But no, instead you ignore. And you know what? That is just abusive at this point. I mean, I don't know.
I don't agree with you. I mean, from your perspective, I'm sure you took it as me ignoring you. That was never my intent. It was a very busy couple of weeks. It was that time of year. I was probably out of the office more than I was in the office, Mrs. Farinelli, between arbitration matters and court matters. They do keep me out of the office more often than they don't.
And it's very difficult when you don't let...
again, and I will say that if you took it as me ignoring you, then I do apologize for that, because that's not my intent. Again, I do the best I can juggling what we have and the responses we have to give to others.
Well, I can't even talk to...
Perhaps in hindsight, based on this conversation I'm having with you now, perhaps it would have been simpler for me to merely send you a very quick response saying that. I did not do that, and perhaps you're correct. Maybe I should have done that.
And instead of just seeing numerous emails from me looking for this information, you blocked Jesse from speaking with me, obviously for obvious reasons, because I have, some stuff, that she has said to me that you probably don't appreciate or whatever. I don't care.
No, listen, and Mrs. Farinelli, I want to make it very clear to you. I think I responded to you a couple of months ago when you used the word blacklist. I didn't take it as a blacklist. There seemed to be a communication breakdown between what I was saying, what you were understanding, what Jesse was saying. Jesse works very hard on these APRAs, and I thought it was just easier, ultimately, to take one less party out of the equation so that if there are issues, and if there's a breakdown in communication, it's between you and me, not between you and me and someone else.
Right.
So I mean, look, you can view it any way you want. That's the decision that I made, and I think it was the right one.
Right. So in doing so, from November 28th till today, I have been waiting for this information. So
But
because
again,
there was
you
no,
wouldn't have been involved in that because I didn't take it as an APRA.
well, I would have been calling her asking
You're
her,
not understanding.
but I would have been calling her asking where my APRA was.
Well, okay, and I see your point.
Right? I mean,
No, listen, I see your point. I'll concede that.
so Frank, you know, you always make me feel bad by the end of the conversation because I really think that down deep, I know that you know what I've been through. But in the same respect, I can't take much more, Frank. I really can't.
No, I understand. Listen, you and I have talked quite a few times over the years, and putting aside the issues that we have, and again, I don't take any of this personal. I understand where you're coming from. I understand what you're trying to accomplish, and and again, I'll say it one last time. I do apologize. I don't want you to think I was stringing you along over the course of the last month or so. That was not my intention. Sometimes it is, unfortunately, in the timing of things. I do try to be responsive to everybody, not just you, but everybody. I try not to treat anybody differently. It served me well for the 24 years or more that I've been here working in a legal capacity for the city. I try to be as responsive as I can. I just can't always accomplish that goal as hard as I try.
Okay. So now when you said, what do we need to accomplish, or what do I need from you? We need to figure out what we are going to do about those text messages that are now public record. Getting them sealed or getting something done about this, because Frank, whether you want to admit it or not, it was an illegal search and seizure of a phone. And I don't know, I mean, legally, do I want to pay to have all this done? No, not really, but I will.
And I'm sure you will. I mean, listen, I'm. If there's one thing I've learned based on my discussions and the emails I've read with you over the last several years, I understand that. I do. But again, you have to understand that I'm not going to. And again, I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm not going to debate these issues with you while there are claims pending. I mean, again, I am the city's attorney, and
there are no claims pending,
to
Frank.
publicly debate with you on issues that are pending legal issues, whether they are claims that you've formally asserted or not. I just can't do that.
Well, I think...
And I think you understand that.
You know what? At this point, Frank,